I'd like to call to order the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education regular public meeting on February 22nd, 2018. Mrs. Saradaki, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Mrs. Boroff? Here. Mrs. Brody?
Here.
Dr. Clancy?
Here.
Mr. Murray?
Here.
Mrs. Suriani?
Here.
Mrs. Williams?
Here.
Mrs. Winkler?
Here.
Dr. Kulikowski? Here. Ms. Bauer?
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you. Please join us in the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The board just met in executive session and discussed personnel issues and HIB. And notice of this meeting was given to the Borough Clerk of Fanwood, Township Clerk of Scotch Plains, and also to the Times. We have additions to the agenda, and I see on here 1S, 3S, 1 BUS, 9 BUS, but we also have
Yes.
12 PUS.
10, 11, and 12,
Yes.
right? BUS
10 and 11.
and 12.
Was the additional one, yes.
Okay, 10, 11, and 12. All right, so the instructional update tonight is a very important one, which is the budget. So Mrs. Saradaki, I know you're going to use this, I think, right?
Yes.
Well.
Listen. Sorry.
Thank you.
This is a presentation of the 2018-19 tentative budget. This is a tentative budget. There will be a presentation on March 19th, which is actually the hearing, and that's where you'll see numbers that have been finalized for submission to the state for the budget. This is a review of our student enrollment, and as you can see, the enrollment as of October 15th, which is the date that we're required to submit information to the state for. Our enrollment in the Scotch Plains Fanwood Elementary Schools was 2,200. This is for a 6-year change of 3 students. In our middle schools, we had 1,737 students, and our enrollment there has decreased by 52 students. And in our high school, our enrollment was 1,557 students, which was an increase of 45 students. So total district enrollment for the past 6 years has changed by 1 student as of October 15th date. As you can see, our enrollment has been very stable. We're very fortunate in that regard because many districts are experiencing great reductions and battling with how to keep their schools open. Other districts are having quite large increases, and state funding has not accommodated any increase for that, and so they've been challenged with financing for all these students. Our district operating revenue comes 95% from the local tax levy. We get state, something happened with this when I copied it over. But the state aid is 3.2%, and we have 1 million in fund balance that we carry over, and that's 1.2%. Our operating tax levy is, will, this year, tentatively, is the 2017-18 tax levy increased by 2%, which will be $88,358,884, and the adjustment for increase in health care costs of $574,712, for a total of $88,933,596. We also have bank cap available in the amount of $475,471, which the board has the opportunity over the next month to determine if they're going to consider using that for increased security in the district. We can use it for anything we choose, but at this point, that's what we're considering. Our state and federal revenue comes from transportation aid, special ed aid, security aid, park readiness aid, per pupil growth aid, and professional learning community aid, for a total of $3,014,466. That's what we received last year, and that's what we are hoping to receive this year. We have no indication on what state aid, whether it'll be increased or decreased. This amount does not include the one-time additional payment of state aid, which the state determined in July 2017 that they would make payment to us in the amount of $186,414. This is our history of state aid from the state. As you can see, in 2009-2010, it was $559. Today, it is $3,200,880, and that includes the one-time payment they gave us this year for a little bit of additional state aid. According to their own records, what we should be receiving is $6,141,150. And even just using the state's numbers for the Consumer Price Index increases that we rely on for increasing our contracts with our transportation companies and such, that the state said are reasonable increases in contracts. If they just use those to increase our state aid, we would be at over $5 million in state aid. Our operating revenue comes from the local tax levy, fund balance. We have other local sources, and the reason you see an increase in that amount is solely because of interest. Interest has gone up considerably. State aid, $3 million, extraordinary aid, and federal Medicaid. We also have tax revenue for the repayment of our bond debt, which should be paid off in about 2023. And this is from a bond issued back in 2000 for work that was done on all of our schools. Here you see the proposed operating budget. We're anticipating a salary increase of 5.49%. That is inclusive of both contracted increases as well as additional personnel we're including in our proposed budget. Benefits will increase. That's due to health and dental increases as well as a number of employees. Out of district tuition, we did over budget a little bit in 2017-18, so we're taking some of that over budgeting out of the budget. That's why you see a decrease. Facilities and maintenance, we have cut as much as possible in order to maintain the buildings, but with no extras. Transportation, the same. Capital expenditures, the same. Most of that money is for lease purchase to keep our students up to date with their technology. And other expenses. you see that that amount has gone down in the budget. So you see here that salaries and benefits make up 77% of the budget. And other expenses are only 5% of the budget. And that's, if we want to make cuts in the budget, that's really where we have to go. Other expenses include all classroom and office supplies, all computer software for classrooms and offices, textbooks, media center books and supplies, classroom and office furniture, technology purchases outside of the lease purchase, all extracurricular activities, testing materials, nurse supplies, all purchases for district security, all teacher workshops and training, legal, audit, and other professional services, much of which is state mandated. Postage, copy machines and paper, telephone costs and internet access, purchase services for OT, PT, speech, ABA therapy, and special ed nursing services and home instruction, and general insurance. Proposed staffing changes for 2018-19 are all for existing programs. Based on the numbers of students enrolled, we'll need 2 additional elementary teachers. We need an additional resource teacher for one of our middle schools. We did a cost evaluation for the district's teachers, for speech teachers, and the district BCBA, and found that it was pretty much a break even to hire our own staff for speech teachers and a district BCBA because of the dollars that will be eliminated as far as contracted services. We still will need to use some contracted services, but this will greatly reduce our contracted services and give us a little bit more control over the people that we are hiring. We are looking to hire 1 child study team clerical secretary to balance the workload between the people that are working there a little bit more effectively, and also to hopefully implement one central registration, which will take a lot of the public coming from entering a lot of the schools at certain times of the year for registering their children. And the number of ESL students has been increasing every year to now to a point where we need to hire another 0.5 ESL teacher. What we're really here for is curriculum for the students, and some of the things that we'll be doing in 2018-19, designing and implementing STEAM units. We'll be purchasing the FOSS systems for grades 3 and 4. Actually, K1, 2, isn't it 4 and 5? I can't remember. Yeah, I actually think, though, it's grades 4 and 5, but elementary grades K-5 math and language arts pacing guides, elementary grades 2 to 3 social studies unit design. We'll be working on a music and fine arts needs assessment. There'll be a cyclical review for language arts grades K to 5, writing workshop articulation for grades 6 through 12, cyber safety unit development for the STAR program in the middle schools, Quest unit development, media literacy sessions, Mandarin 4 program expansion, and authentic assessment development. Professional developments for our staff will include walkthroughs, lesson study, classroom studies, peer coaching, arts integration across the curriculum, high school block scheduling, and summer and after-school performance development professional development academy. In regards to special education, you'll see here that our numbers are pretty stable from year to year. Out of 733 special education students, 635 are, as of October 15th, were handled in district. Of the students who go out of district, the 98 students, 12 are shared time, 34 are in public placements, 51 in private placements, and one's in a regional day school. So out of our total special ed population is 13.49% of the total population. So here you see the same information graphically, where 86.6% of the students are able to have their needs addressed in the least restrictive environment in our district. Tuition expenditures. In 2017-18, 2018-19, the decrease you see there is money that is not being spent, as far as we can tell, this year on tuition. About $500,000. But we are currently handling 98 students out of district at a cost of $6,457,626 after the IDEA grant monies. And we're anticipating next year spending about $6 million on tuition after IDEA grant monies. Special education transportation, we're budgeted to spend close to $2 million on. The self-contained classes, these are in district. We're currently servicing 70 students in the district, and the cost is anticipated to increase, and that is not, there is no staffing being added, that's just contracted salary increases and supplies. Additional support for special education programs. There's the resource program, there's related services, which include occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech, ABA therapy, and effective school solutions. We have one-to-one aides, we have our child study teams, and we have our extended year school program. The total cost before the IDEA grant is approximately $12 million. Our federal aid, what we have received from IDEA, you can see here from 2014 through current. We've been told very clearly by the state not to budget more than 80% of what we had received this past year for 2018-19, because they never know for sure what the federal government might pass through to the state. Special education summary. You'll see we have tuition, transportation, the self-contained classes, additional support provided for a subtotal for proposed, as well as this past year, of approximately $22 million. IDEA in basic and preschool gets deducted from that. There are actually some others that can too, and so $21 million is district expense. Now, on this next slide, you'll see it graphically with our additional support, our self-contained classes, transportation, and tuition. Local taxpayer expense. The district's expenditures in 2016-17 for special education were $20,327,214. Of that, IDEA funds cover $1,223,701. New Jersey Special Education Aid, which if you look back at my previous slide, you'll see where there was special education aid as part of our state aid, was $2,518,908, and New Jersey State Extraordinary Aid, which we apply for after the year is partway through, and we don't get the money until the following year. For 2016-17 was $1,205,421. So the district taxpayers' expense for special education is $15,379,184. This is not intended to pick on special education department or the students, but to show how much it is underfunded by the state and federal government. And I think that the IDA was originally intended to pick up 40% of our special education costs, and clearly they're not doing that. Our capital and maintenance items budgeted are very limited. We have our technology lease purchase in the amount of $650,000. We have some musical instruments that are the ones that cost more than $2,000 apiece. We have 3D printers for the middle schools, and we have the New Jersey State Debt Service Assessment, which is an assessment that's been in place for about 5 years now, that we're required to pay every year to the state of New Jersey. So our total capital and maintenance items are $832,926. And that is the end of the presentation. If there's any questions, I'll sit down first. If there's any questions, you can ask. Whoops.
Okay, questions for Mrs. Saradaki? Mrs. Winkler?
So on what is page 6 in the handout you gave us with the operating revenue summary? I'm going to ask you to repeat what you said. You said something about interest, because I wrote the word interest down, but I was busy finishing a note
Yes.
on a previous page, and I'm
On the line for other local sources, you'll see that that has increased a good amount from 167, 250 to 246. That is because our interest rate has gone up. And so we're making quite a bit more on our interest from the bank now.
okay. Thank you.
Other questions? Mrs. Sporoff?
What is bank cap?
Banked cap is money that the state does a calculation, and if we were entitled to, say, a health benefit cost increase above the 2%, in this case it was enrollment-based, they do a calculation in the budget. And if you don't use it in the year that it's given to you, you're permitted to carry it forward for the maximum of 3 years.
Anyone else? Mrs. Siriani?
I just want to first say thank you for this really detailed projection. And I just wanted to ask, I know you were recently at the Business Administrators Conference. Is there any projection from the new governor's administration on what state aid might be? Any talk there?
No. They're basically saying budget, and come up with a budget if you lose money, and come up with a budget if you get more money. And honestly, this budget is so lean that if we lose, we're going to have to look at staffing. Because I have reviewed it quite closely, and it's, there's not a lot in the budget that can be cut. Almost nothing. So it's a very tight budget.
Let's hope the fact that he's announcing the aid on March 13th, I don't know, it's not a
15th.
Friday. Oh, it's 15th, good.
Yes.
Okay. Mrs. Brody?
I two questions. On page 5, I just want to make it clear that that 5.2 million that you have highlighted is not money that we are receiving, but it's money that we should have been receiving.
Yes, actually, we should have been receiving the 6 million.
Right.
Yes.
But at minimum, if we were receiving what we should be, we would have been getting the 5.2.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make that clear.
Yes.
We're not really getting that.
No.
We're really getting the 3.2.
It's just
maybe.
highlighting how far behind, and
Maybe,
have been
right.
for years.
Right.
So the amount that's built up is significant considering what the taxpayers have to pay.
Exactly. Okay. And the other question I have, or I guess a clarification, on page 11, with the self-contained classes, there's a 4.7% increase for staffing. that is inclusive of benefits and everything else that goes along with having a person.
No, benefits aren't included in this.
Okay, so is that for,
That would be supplies, staffing, purchase, if they need to purchase any services for.
like occupational therapy, that kind of thing?
No.
No, it's not.
Like, if they need somebody to come in, like a specialist in something for a specific, and it supplies, where many of the MD students have things like their own computers and iPads. Some of them have specialized chairs and.
Oh, like equipment?
Yes.
Okay, okay. And one last thing, on page 14, another clarification, that 165,000, that is money we're paying back to the state for when they gave us money way back.
Back in
when.
2000?
Right, they gave
Yes.
us money.
Grants.
Right, they matched what we put into adding to the schools, if I remember right?
Yes, they did, and at that time, I think the full intention was that that was money they were giving us as a grant.
That's what
As it was presented.
Yes.
As it was presented
Then
back then,
about
yes.
10 or 15 years later, they decided that we were going to have to pay the interest on that money.
And
They had to borrow.
is every district paying that back through the whole
Yes.
state? Everybody?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That was it. Thank you.
Other questions for Mrs. Saradaki? Okay, I want to echo my thanks too. I was going to come in on the 165,000. I wanted to go back to page 5 and say that when you see how much it went down, there were a lot of staffing cuts then when our
Yes.
money was reduced from the state. So it's happened before, hopefully it won't happen again. And I know there's a lot of talk through Garden State. It's brought up constantly, the superintendents, about the special ed funding and about getting closer to the 6 million, amount that, of the school funding formula. I wanted to say thank you too, because Mrs. Saradaki has to look not only at this year, but what's sustainable over the long haul. And, so she's not only trying to balance everything now, but also we have to think about what we can continue to fund over time so that we're not overcommitted. So thank you very much. Everyone, I'm sure, will contact you if they have further questions.
Thank you.
I wanted to move on to an opportunity for the public to come to the microphone. According to our policies 0164 and 0165, please give us your name, the town in which you reside, and we have a time limit of 2 minutes. Seeing no one, we're going to move on to committee reports. I know we have two. Mr. Murray, you want to go first?
Sure, I have a facilities report. So we met on Tuesday. So there's 4 items I'd like to discuss. The first is that we will be moving forward with roofing projects, which will be in Coles, McGinn, Park, and Terrell. That should complete our roofing project needs until approximately 2022-ish. So, hopefully we get those done and we can then move on to other priorities. The next item is regarding school security. So there was a security demonstration held in mid-January with Eastern Datacom. So they provide security services for lockdown protocols. So this would be an enhancement to an existing protocol that we have. So the goal here would be that we were recommending that we move forward with a pilot in the high school and get them engaged for the remaining schools in the district if that goes well. So the approximate cost is around $50,000. And we feel that that's definitely something we should be moving forward with. So the committee's recommending that we move forward with approving that. The next item is regarding the air conditioning project at the high school for the summer of 2018. So EI Associates we would be looking for them to provide the proposal, which will include the design, submission to NJDOE, the contract bid process, and the construction administration phase. So we are recommending that we move forward with engaging them at approximately at a cost of $76,000. And the last item is nothing that we need to do at this point, but we are having our architectural firm provide a proposal for us to create plans for a security vestibule at both door 1 and 12 at the high school, which we believe we can accommodate or have done through our own internal maintenance staff, so would not be an additional cost to the district from using an outside vendor for that. So the other thing I want to just mention is that we did spend a lot of time in our committee meeting talking about school security. So to echo what Mrs. Saradaki had listed in her budget presentation, we are going to probably be proposing to use bank cap to advance the security measures in the new budget. So I think, we feel that that's definitely something that would be a worthwhile investment and something that we have a bunch of different things. There's a bunch of different security initiatives and measures that we had talked about in our meeting that at this point are not something that we can share more broadly, but we do feel that as though we have a good number of items that we want to move forward with, and that bank cap may be helpful if the proposed budget does move forward. So, any questions?
I do want to thank the administration for constantly being, looking at these kinds of things, and just echo the point you made that the Eastern Datacom that we'll be voting on tonight was something that was already being looked at before the recent tragedy. So it's an ongoing area, just like curriculum in other areas. Okay, I think we also have a finance report.
Yes, which I can't seem to access on my phone, and I forgot my computer, so.
Oh, wait a minute, I think I can, here you go.
There we go. Thank
A
you.
printed out copy.
Is that finance or facilities here?
Finance.
Oh, there you go. There's no.
Oh,
So, thank you.
They're close to the same.
Well, you don't
they're
want
related.
doing it from the top of my head. Many of the items were also talked about by Mr. Murray, but we also, Mrs. Saradaki asked, and we support the recommendation that we approve a contract with Eastern Datacom for approximately $50,620. You were going to give us the final amount, is that?
They'll give us a final proposal once they know it's approved.
All right.
But it's
Yeah, in that area. So, and we also feel that this is a necessary upgrade to our lockdown system, and that we look forward to moving ahead with that, and we appreciated that Mrs. Saradaki was already doing this, so at least we're at the forefront of making some necessary changes. Also, we agreed with Mrs. Saradaki's recommendation to approve a contract with EI Associates for $76,000 to oversee the high school air conditioning project for this summer. And that fee would include the design, the New Jersey DOE submission, the contract bid phase, and the construction administrative phase. And we support going ahead with that. And she also told us about the possibility that Potter Architects was working on a proposal to construct security vestibules at the high school, and we look forward to seeing that. And what did I miss? And you gave us a little brief highlight of the budget, which you gave more to us this evening. So, and our next meeting is March 5th.
Any questions? Okay. That brings us, I think, there were no other committee. Did I miss anything? Okay. We'll move on to the superintendent's report, Dr. Hayes.
Thank you, Mrs. Bauer. Tonight, I would ask that the board approve the out-of-district placement that is listed on the additions to the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. 2S, I would ask that the board affirm the superintendent's decisions in the 4 January harassment, intimidation, and bullying cases that were reported in executive sessions on January 18th and January 30th.
So moved.
Second. I abstain from January 30th.
I abstain from the 18th.
Ditto.
Oh, well, I abstain from the 18th, too, actually,
Very quiet meeting. Wait a second.
about it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. 3S tonight, I would ask that you approve the addition of the Essex County Environmental Center in Roseland, New Jersey, as an approved destination for field trips. Annually, you give approval to a list, and we have had a request for at least one elementary school to do a field trip to this center, and rather than do them individually, we thought it was best just to add this as a destination.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention?
Thank you.
Okay.
And 4S tonight, I would ask that the board approve the following courses. H2461, Intro to Computer Programming. H2460, Advanced Placement Computer Science Principles. And H2450, Advanced Placement Computer Science A.
So moved. That's a second.
I know the curriculum committee reported about these last week. Did anybody have any additional questions or comments? Okay, Mrs. Saradaki, it'll be a roll call.
Yes, who seconded that one? Dr. Kulikowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Winkler?
Yes.
Mrs. Boroff?
Yes.
Mrs. Brody?
Yes.
Dr. Clancy?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mrs. Suriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mrs. Bauer?
Yes. Thank you. 5S, I would ask that the board approve the 12-month employee calendar for the 2018-19 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Okay, Mrs. Saradaki, that's a roll call, too. Listed as a roll call.
I think she,
Yeah, she
I
put
think
it on the
that's
wrong,
supposed to be on the curriculum.
been on the one
Okay.
before.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay.
And finally, I would ask that the board approve the personnel report as reviewed in exec this evening.
So moved. Second.
Mrs. Saradaki, you want to call the roll?
Yes, Dr. Kulikowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Winkler?
Yes.
Ms. Boroff?
Yes.
Mrs. Brody?
Yes.
Dr. Clancy?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mrs. Suriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mrs. Bauer?
Yes.
Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Hayes. You're welcome. So we have another opportunity, if there's anyone from the public who would like to come to the microphone. Seeing no one, we're going to move on to the business functions, Mrs. Saradaki.
Okay, I'd like to group them together if nobody has any objection to that.
That's fine.
1BUS is approval of the staff training on the superintendent's recommendation report dated February 22nd, 2018. 2BUS, I'd like the board...
Additions.
Oh, I'm sorry, and additions to staff training. 2BUS, I'd like the board to acknowledge receipt of disbursement listings from the various bank accounts for January 2018. 3BUS, I'd like the board to acknowledge receipt of the district school fire and security drill reports for the month of January 2018. 4BUS, I'm asking for board approval on related services from private vendors. This is from Morris Psychological Group and Lisa Psychosis, or Something, that's how you pronounce it?
so. Ihojo?
In the amounts of $4,050 and $3,750. 5 BUS, I'm asking the board to approve participation in Educational Data Services Incorporated for cooperative bid pricing and licensing for ordering school supplies. They also prepare bids for us. They bid our athletic equipment. We have saved at least $100,000 each year that we've been using them for purchasing. 6 BUS, I'm asking for the board's approval on the rep theater musicians for the musical this spring, in a total amount of $4,880. 7 BUS, I'm asking for the board to acknowledge receipt of the board secretary's report, the treasurer of school funds report, and the budget adjustments for the month of January 2018. 8 BUS, I'm asking for the board to approve bills on the bill list for the period January 26, 2018 to February 20th, 2018, in the amount of $2,968,985.35. 9 BUS, I'm asking for the board to approve the tentative budget calendar. Oh, the board has
we
already
approved
approved
that.
that. Yes, the change of the board meeting to March 19th. That was approved at our last meeting. On the additions to the agenda, I'm asking for the board to approve 10 BUS Eastern Datacom proposal. This is for the high school. The amount is $50,620, and then an additional approximately $12,000, probably a little less, for interface to be able to notify administrators by phone or text. This is under the EPPM New Jersey contract. Funding will be withdrawn from the additional 2017-18 state aid of $186,414 provided in July of 2017. This additional cost of $12,000, if we decide to go to the phone, the high school phone system is getting old. It doesn't need to be replaced yet, but if we decide to go to the ShoreTel phone system, when we do change over, that money that will be the start of the phone system if we use ShoreTel. 11 BUS is approval of, I'm asking for the board to approve the engineering services to oversee the air conditioning project at the high school during the summer 2018. That was EI Architects. They would prepare the plans and specifications, submit the plans to the Department of Education, modify the long-range facility plan, provide construction oversight, and other services covered in the proposal, which you all should have a copy of. The cost is $76,000, and this will be withdrawn from capital reserve. And there was a second addition to the agenda.
EEF grants. EEF grants.
Yes, the EEF grants. I'm asking for the board to approve accepting the EEF grants as listed on the agenda.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Comments and questions about the various items? Mrs. Brody?
The 6 BUS, the rep theater musicians are reimbursed to the district through proceeds from the show. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And the dollar amount is in line with what they've requested previously.
Okay, thank you. That was it.
Other comments or questions on any of the items?
I appreciate that the EEF is able to do $7,000 worth of grants for various projects, and that's wonderful, and I look forward to hearing about them.
Yes, I echo that. They all sound very interesting and innovative. And the EEF dinner is coming up in March, and it's good to support them. We certainly see the benefits.
They are actually sold out.
They're sold out?
Beefsteak
Wow.
dinner has officially been announced as sold out.
Oh, good.
Wow, wonderful thing.
And they have amazing prizes this year, apparently.
Oh, really?
I still didn't use mine from last year.
Okay, well, that is wonderful news. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, so we're going to move on to board policies. Mrs. Winkler?
All right. I would like to move that the board approve second and final reading for adoption of the following policies. Policy 0169.02, board member use of social networks. Policy 3437, military leave. Policy 4437 on military leave. Regulation 5460.1, high school transcripts. Policy 5516.01 on student tracking devices. Regulation 7101, educational adequacy of capital projects. Policy 7425, lead testing of water in schools. And Policy 9242, use of electronic signatures.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, other board business, requests to attend workshops or workshop reports?
Oh, I want to request to attend the Union County School Boards Association.
Student recognition.
Thank you.
Oh, and
there
Dr.
any charge for that?
Kulikowski?
He's going to that as well.
Yes.
Is there a charge for that?
I have to check.
I don't believe
I
so.
don't think there is.
Didn't say so.
think
in
so.
the
For the
thing,
unsung
but it
heroes,
did
it
say
didn't
that we
say
need
that.
to have.
It just
the-
said that we had to be registered
Registered,
through
right.
our business
the other-
administrator.
yeah.
And I'll be attending as well, and I believe Dave will be attending.
Wonderful. It's always a really nice occasion, so thank you.
So we have 4
For
people?
representing us.
You're attending, Karen?
Right.
Yes.
And Amy. And check with Dave, but I'm sure he's going.
Anyone else? Requests to attend workshops, workshop reports? Okay, we have the opportunity to read the resolution for Youth Art Month. If anyone would like to do that?
Happy to do that.
Okay, well,
Somebody else
whoever
wants
would
it?
like to do it.
Okay. Youth Art Month, March. Whereas the art education contributes powerful educational benefits to all elementary, middle, and secondary students, including the following. Art education develops students' creative problem-solving and critical thinking abilities. Art education teaches sensibility to beauty, order, and other expressive qualities. Art education gives students a deeper understanding of multicultural values and beliefs. Art education reinforces and brings to life what students learn in other subjects. And art education interrelates student learning in the art production, art history, art criticism, and aesthetics. Whereas our national leaders have acknowledged the necessity of including arts experiences in all students' education, and whereas March is officially recognized as Youth Art Month, now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education does hereby endorse March 2018 as Youth Art Month.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
I know no one's opposed, so. Okay, approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion that the board approves the minutes from the January 10th, January 18th, and January 30th meetings.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I'd like to abstain from the 10th and the 18th.
Listen, I'm doing the same thing, abstaining as well.
The 18th.
10th and 18th.
I need to abstain from the 10th.
Are you? That was a
Who's that?
Me.
Yeah. You were here for the reorg.
Just the 18th. I'm abstaining from Amy Boroff.
Amy and I are abstaining from the 18th.
I abstain from January 30th.
Wait a minute.
Sorry.
You're definitely here.
Who is that?
Me. I abstained from January 30th.
Anyone else? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. So, the good of the order.
Oh, we have another talking time.
I know we do, but there's no one here. There's nobody. If anyone would like to come forward.
Thank you.
We don't want to put David on the spot, or Ann. Okay,
So for the good of the order?
yes.
I have a good of the order. The girls' swim team will be in the state final on Saturday at TCNJ against a fine team from Moorestown. So
What time is that, do you know?
it'll be at 11 o'clock in the morning at TCNJ. So good luck to all the young women.
And I believe the wrestlers are in a tournament, Atlantic City. Is that this weekend? State wrestling tournament is this weekend, I believe.
Check the date.
I'm pretty sure it's this weekend.
Yes, they needed to check this week, so.
Yep.
Anyone else for the good of the order?
Yes, on Tuesday night, I had the pleasure of attending the PTA Founder's Day dinner. And this year, they invited the winners of the Reflections program, and we had an amazing representation of students that won, who were all in it, many of them were in attendance with their families at the Founder's Day dinner. It was quite a delightful evening, and we look forward at a later date of bringing the Reflections winners before the board so that we can recognize them as well. So my thanks to all the PTA people that have helped to support that program, including those who are here at this table who made sure that it got new life a couple of years ago.
Wonderful. We'll look forward to that. Anyone else for the good of the order? Okay, so we just have to remember it's March 19th. Hopefully, everyone changed it on their calendars. Can I have a motion that we adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.